All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. We are thrilled to bring you another HEA Practice Advantage Lunch and Learn presentation. I'm Dr. Justin Manning, Executive Vice President of Professional Strategies at Healthy Eyes Advantage. And I'm joined today by our friend and colleague, Robin Elliott, President of Consulting with Williams Group. Now, if you are new to the whole Practice Advantage umbrella, I'm super excited to share with you just a little bit about this revolutionary program and really the whole Practice Advantage family of opportunities for our members. So as an HEA member, you have access to the Practice Advantage program. It's $4.95 a month. And within that, you have unlimited consulting access. You have a assigned Practice Advantage coach that meets with you for strategy sessions every month, and an on-demand team and staff training platform. Within the Practice Advantage umbrella, we have these Lunch and Learn series, which are every single month, 30 minutes or less, the last Wednesday of every single month, and the Practice Advantage podcast. If you like podcasts, open up your favorite podcast app, search Practice Advantage, all one word, and be sure to hit subscribe. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our topic for today on schedule optimization. This, frankly, is an area in our practices we cannot afford to get wrong. The schedule is the lifeblood of the practice. So with that, I will turn things over to Robin to jump right in. If you do have questions, there will be time for Q&A at the end of today's presentation. Please use the Q&A feature within the Zoom webinar platform. You'll find it at the bottom of your screen. So with that, Robin, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Justin. I'm so excited to be here today. This is one of my very favorite subjects to discuss. So I also want to thank all of you for spending your valuable time with us today as we discuss our Lunch and Learn series on schedule optimization. As Justin said, my name is Robin Elliott. I'm President of Consulting of Williams Group, and I'm excited to be here today. So first and foremost, we have a lot of discussion with people that talk about wanting to increase the joy in their practice life. And our experience tells us that it's really pretty hard to do without a really solid infrastructure. So if you are interested in how HEA and Williams Group can help you do just that, I am so glad that you're here today. And my goal is simply to provide you with a few key thought-provoking ideas and help get you started on that journey as we move forward. So, all right, give me a second here. So let's dive in. And I want to acknowledge an extremely important fact that we all know. And that is that without patience, nothing else matters. We all know this, but do we really take the time to lift up that rug and look at how the patient experience, how team culture, and how profitability all interrelate with schedule design and optimization? And by optimization, what I mean by this is a daily filled schedule with happy patients that are returning to your practice, and an efficient and healthy workflow that promotes a positive team culture, which in turn adds up to profitability and financially, both emotionally, financially for you and your team. So very exciting topic for us. So let me go ahead and move on here. So let's talk a little bit about how does the patient experience impact your schedule? You know, the reality is there's a multitude of statistics I could share with you on how your patient experience impacts your schedule. But for this very quick lunch and learn, I'm only going to focus on 3. As we look at these, I want you to literally step back and really think about what your patient experience is like in relationship to your schedule and these 3 matrix. I want you to let go of what you are used to, what you know, and again, really lift up that rug and observe what's happening in your practice. So let's get started with these stats, kind of some fact versus reality. Number 1, think about this. Taking longer than 40 minutes to get your patient to the dispensary increases the risk of losing the sale by 30%. So what I want you to think about right now is, how long is your pretest? How long is your exam? How long does it take to get your patient out to dispensary in your practice? The second statistic I think that's very important is that we know that patients who wait longer than 10 minutes total, however that happens within your practice, are 2 times more likely to leave a negative review online. So again, I want you to ask yourself and think about, how important are those reviews to keeping your schedule full? How long does it take your patients to simply fill out paperwork? Could a team member complete it faster by simply asking the questions during the workup process? Just start thinking about things a little bit differently. Number 3, 25% of patients who wait longer than 2 weeks for an appointment will seek an appointment elsewhere. So I want you to think about this. How far booked out is your practice? Is being booked out a full month really a good thing? And what's your no-show rate? Are you meeting your daily exam goals? So just a few food things to think about. Understanding your patient's mindset and their needs for an exceptional experience every single time is an essential consideration when designing your schedule that drives the optimized experience from start to finish. Let's talk a little bit about team culture and how this impacts your schedule. Sorry, I have a little slide moment there. Now, while having a well-designed schedule starts by being aware of your patient's considerations and the impact their influence can have on maintaining a full schedule, awareness and timing and attitude are everything. So what does that mean for your team culture? Attitude feeds into your team culture and your overall morale. When you do not have a well-designed schedule, what happens? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like you can't catch up? You're behind on insurance authorizations, or ordering glasses or contacts, or your accounts receivables aren't being managed. All those so important confirmations, they end up not getting confirmed and the patient shows up. The list goes on and on and on. When the workload isn't balanced, meaning you have 1 or 2 people doing the majority of the work because of a lack of cross-training to ensure a smooth patient flow from start to finish, what happens to the culture in your practice? Having a well-designed schedule with the appropriate staffing levels and cross-training to manage that patient flow allows for that positive team culture within your practice that we all seek. It can also help to cut down on staff turnover, quite frankly, which makes it easier for everyone, I can promise. And I would ask you to think about this. Do you feel that you have the appropriate number of staff, and are they all cross-trained to help manage your patient schedule? We know that 2020 has proven how important having a well cross-trained team is for survival and peace of mind. It's been quite insightful for all of us. So let's look at some schedule design considerations. Designing an optimized schedule is truly unique for every practice, for your practice. For me to simply just send you a generic template saying, here it is, here's your schedule optimization, go for it. That's not the answer. But what is important is to understand that an optimized schedule is centered around your patients. It's centered around that positive team culture that we develop for a healthy workflow. And profitability truly involves psychology and analytics, which my colleagues here at HEA and Williams Group with our Optometric Success Center online learning library are happy to help you with. However, while I'm not going to be sending out scheduled templates, I do want to help you get started in the right direction with some important questions that will need to be addressed first. So let's take a look here. All right, doctors, this one is for you. Number one, I need you to determine financially, both professionally and personally, what are your financial needs? These two components will be the foundation of building your schedule. Number two, it's important that every patient that you see has an A+ experience, and that this is only possible if you're on your A game every single time. So doctors, again, I'm asking you to be honest with yourself and look at your emotional and physical capacity to actually deal with people. How many comprehensive eye exams on average can you actually see? How many can you handle and still know that you're delivering that A+ care every single time? This ties into being able to set your revenue goals and to meet them. What I would like for you to do as a task is to run a report that shows you how many kept comprehensive exams that you're seeing on average per doctor days, okay? Your comprehensive exams, just as Justin has said, they are the lifeblood of your practice. And often when we perform what we call a practice performance analysis for our clients, they're often quite surprised that they're not seeing as many comprehensive exams as they thought they were. And this is why they're not meeting their revenue or financial goals. So very, very important task for us to do. Number three, and again, this all ties back to optimizing that schedule. I want you to review your staffing thresholds. Look at your team's talents and their ability to cross-train. Use your current technology to your advantage to manage your patient's time, and cross-train your team and have enough staff to handle the myriad of tasks that you and your team are responsible for to ensuring that successful patient experience and that successful experience for you and your team. Number four, I want you to really identify your patient demographics. And I want you to identify the spikes throughout the day and the week and use this to your advantage. So what I mean here is really track when are your patients wanting to be seen, and then make sure that you have those time slots available for your patients. So we're looking at age demographics and, are they more mature people and they'd rather come earlier in the morning, or they don't want to be there when it's the prime time, that, busy hour at 3 o'clock. So really identify those times, and then let's build the schedule around that. Number five, I want you to literally count your steps and look at how much time is required to move the patient through the pretest sequence before they are actually seen by the doctor. This is hugely important. If I were at your office on an office visit, I would be timing everything and literally counting steps. Number 6, this is a big one, and this really gets into our training with managing that schedule once you have it developed. It's very important that we avoid telling a patient that their appointment is at 9 a.m. if they don't plan on seeing the doctor until 9:20. Remember, time is of the essence in our patient's mind. And when we schedule a doctor's appointment, think about this. When do you expect to see the doctor? Well, in this case, if we tell them 9 o'clock, they expect to see the doctor at 9 o'clock, right? Well, the reality is it may be at least 20 minutes after the patient has arrived, which we know from our studies that's about the average time typically for a patient workup, to have that patient ready to see the doctor. If the patient has taken, let's say, 10 minutes to complete their paperwork, which again, we time everything, we know on average that's about how long it takes them to fill out paperwork. We're now 30 minutes into that 40 minutes we discussed earlier. Now let's say that you're simply putting people on your schedule with no rhyme or reason. We only have 10 minutes left now for optical, and that next patient is right on your heels waiting to be seen. And remember, as I said earlier, those patients that wait 10 minutes or longer are 2 times more likely to leave a negative review online, right? And if it takes longer than 40 minutes to get them to your dispensary, you're increasing the risk of losing that sale by 30% because your patient simply feels like they don't have enough time, and so they'll leave, they'll walk with their prescription. So here is my suggestion for you, and it sounds fairly simplistic. Some doctors have done this, some practices have, but many have not. Let's remove that paperwork, from the front desk. And let's personalize the patient experience by asking them the questions during the workup and entering them directly into your EMR. And the fact is, your tech can probably type it in a lot faster than your patient can actually fill out the paperwork with pen and paper. I also want to mention that reiterate that it's really important that when you're scheduling, once the schedule design is built out, that you communicate to the patient the schedule based upon when the doctor is going to be seeing them and not their arrival time. And again, we can help you with that with our schedule management training. So there are, or I should say, this is only the beginning of how we and why we help you build a unique schedule for your practice. There are a multitude of considerations included in deciding your schedule. It's around when the doctor will be seeing patients, as well as considering the time required for special testing and pre-testing. We also want to ensure you have a balance of comprehensive and problem-focused exams. The psychology and analytics run deep. These considerations are the building blocks to a well-optimized schedule that promotes 5-star patient experiences. It promotes a positive team culture and profitability. There are many layers to building a successful practice, and it does all begin with a winning schedule and training your team to successfully manage it. It truly is an art form for us, and it's our driving arrow for everyone here at HEA and Williams Group. And as you can see by looking at your screen, there are several courses with our HEA PracticeAdvantage program offered in our OSC online learning library that focus on schedule management alone. And there are many, many others. I will leave you with one last consideration, and that is I want to point out the solutions for the impending schedule gap course. Initially, with 2020, we thought that we would see in Q1, Q1, and Q2 that practices would not have a full schedule because of 2020 and the pandemic. Well, what has happened is that we are actually now seeing some practices that are just now experiencing that schedule gap or seeing holes in their schedule. And it's because they have had an influx of new patients that have left their former practice due to a lack of communication. But because we took that influx of new patients for granted, we're now starting to see holes in our schedule. So this is why it's very, very important that we understand recall, that we know how to do data mining, and that we know how to slide the schedule. And again, this is something that we can help you all with. So we here at HEA and my colleagues at Williams Group truly look forward to having the opportunity to help you build a winning schedule. I am happy to take a few questions here if we still have time, Justin, on any key considerations. And then I just want to mention, if you're not an HEA Practice Advantage program member yet, and you do need help with optimizing your schedule, we are more than happy to help you. Please reach out to us. Again, I will be sending a follow-up email, and I'll be sending a handout with these questions and considerations for you to really start lifting up that rug and looking at what's happening with your practice and helping you get to having that winning plan. You can reach us at practiceadvantage@hea2020.com or healthyeyesadvantage.com/practiceadvantage. And again, watch for that email from me. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you so much, Robin. At this point in time, there are no questions. But again, if you have questions regarding schedule optimization, we do have about 6-7 minutes left before we'll wrap up. Certainly we can wrap up early, but if you go to the bottom of your screen and you're within the Zoom platform, there is a Q&A button. If you have questions, please use that. Otherwise, we've done a fantastic job. And Robin, I can't thank you enough for being with us and sharing your expertise on schedule optimization. And for those of you attending today, thank you so much for doing so. We are recording this webinar, so you will have access to it and you'll have the ability to review it at any point in time on demand. So we'll give it just another minute or two, see if there are any additional questions to come in.
All right.
Fantastic. Once again, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. A very happy 4th holiday to you all. Please reach out if you have further questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you again for our next Lunch and Learn series, the last Wednesday of July. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Justin.